Well, we're not live yet. We got to wait for pre-roll and Taco Bell ads.
Taco Bell.
Okay. Can everyone hear us? Are the ads done? Is everyone through the ads? I'll wait for people to.
Taco Bell ads. They heard us.
Is it a Taco Bell ad? Or is
no,
it
so they're off the Whataburger ads, which is good. So that's good.
All right. Looks like they hear us. Hey, everybody. What's shaking?
Yep. Howdy, everyone. Want to
I'm
welcome
Thomas
you.
Blair.
Yep. Gordon Walton, exec producer. Thomas Blair,
I'm the design director. And we are here to talk about Crowfall in our monthly live stream. And this one, we're talking about 7100.
Yep. I wanted to welcome everyone to the live stream first and let everybody know that 7100 is up and we're starting the campaigns this afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Time, which is kind of cool. I'm really excited about the new global both dregs and shadow campaigns that we're running. So everybody's competing together across the world, which we really like that. I was surprised the team was able to pull that together in 7100. We thought it would take 2 milestones and we got it in anyway. And I'm very personally excited about the performance improvements I'm seeing in the client and on the server. We've gotten the servers much more stable at the 250 sieges. Those of you who see me there, I'm always there taking performance measurements and watching you guys fight. So, and the last thing I'm really excited about in this particular milestone update is the new hot zones and the boss raid parcels, which are going to give you guys more stuff to fight over. We did have a problem doing the publish yesterday. It was really bad. It took several hours to figure out that we couldn't actually make it work. We got up early this morning and published it at 6 a.m. and it is up and running now. So yeah, the problem we had yesterday, we're past. It was a good one. It wasn't just us, it was also infrastructure related. So sometimes you get caught like that. It's nothing that we saw in the test center, but it did catch us on the live update. But at least we're through that, and we appreciate everybody's support and patience whenever we have a problem like that. And with that, it's time to move on into the next part of this update.
Well, I also think that it's kind of funny that Gordon is there all the time in live service watching you guys. So you should play like a Where's Waldo there and like, where's Gordon? Try and find Gordon in the sieges. Because he's always there.
I'm always hiding on the top of some tower, yes, watching. And
taking video
and record. I'm literally recording the performance of my client for our guys to look at for where the next set of performance improvements are going to come from.
So we get lots of video from Gordon, who's up there peeping Tom, watching you guys as you fight. So what I'm going to move into on that note is we are going to give away some stuff this morning, and we're going to do a little trivia, a little Crowfall trivia, and give away some stuff right off the bat. The first person to have the correct answer for any of these questions in chat gets. What are you giving away, Diane?
I'm giving away a Hunger Wolf and a elk mount, the Swift ones.
Okay, I really like the elk mount. But the first question that we're going to hit on is who created the first Minotaur? I need the name of who created the first Minotaur.
You can only win once, Toby.
An egg? Come on now. You know what's funny is somebody said Greco, and that's exactly what my wife said when I bounced this question off of her.
Blair Carl is the winner.
Who's the winner, Tiggs?
Bararia Carl, sorry.
Goose, come on now.
We need slow-mo for these.
So say the answer.
The answer, I'm waiting for the slide to come up, is Malachi. He put the head of the great bull on the body of the fallen hunter, Julan.
I will send you a code through the Twitch private messaging, so just look for that code there.
All right. Question 2. This one should be easy. What is the name of Cain's hammer? Cain hammer. Also, this is my I'm auditioning for Jeopardy because I hear that host is up for grabs still. Oh, look at that.
Tasty Cake.
Who's it, Tiggs?
Tasty Cake.
Tasty Cake is the winner of another fine mount. And the answer was Sorrow. And it's the big old hammer, and you can see them all over the game and in the fantastic Greco art that we have. Okay, next question. This one's a little more difficult. Who are Zelina's parents?
And we want both parents.
Yeah, you have to get both.
In one sentence.
In one sentence, that seems a little...
Well, I don't want them typing it and then typing in the second one because then I won't know.
Can't keep up.
Oh my God, slow-mo.
Can't you put it in, you can put it in slow-mo chat? Yeah, this one is hard. I haven't seen the correct pairing yet.
Half of it.
Yeah, I've seen answers that have half of it, but I haven't seen the correct.
Malachi.
No. And the hint is some of the lore text for one of them is on, I believe, Chaos Embers. All right, somebody use Google because there's the right answer, I bet.
No, not Yaga. Did you see the right answer?
It looks like DevNoob.
Hold on. No, DevNoob has Malachi.
Oh, he's got Malachi in there.
Glacius has the right answer there.
Oh, you got it?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Tiggs. The answer is Lyessa and Ymir the Dragons. Malachi stole her egg, and then we've got that great art piece of the Allfather ripping apart the dragon's mouth and spewing chaos embers all over the universe. Yes.
Hold on. His name.
We're going to move on to an easy one. Here's an easy one.
Hold on.
What is the name of the order in charge of keeping the braziers lit in every temple? The name of the order. You see them right off the bat.
They were also called this years and years ago. Many moons ago.
Okay. Did everybody use the...
Yep, we got one. Next. Yeah.
Good job. The answer is Lamplighters. I was going to say, did everybody use the skip the NPE? So they didn't talk to any of these guys? And we have one final one to give away, and this will be the last of our giveaways. It's going to be, who was the first crow?
Me.
Who was the first crow? There you go.
You're ready.
I was waiting for chat to catch up there.
Galen.
And of course, the answer is Hero. He featured predominantly in our Kickstarter lore. He was part of our Pantheon, and he was later demoted. Poor Hero. Okay, so what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, we got a Twitch drop today, which is the Sentinel Steed of Sabel. If you watch 30 minutes today, you get to earn Sentinel Steed of Sabel. We have a picture of that one.
We do.
Where's the picture?
Coming.
Everybody loves the picture.
Emrod.
It's a pregnant pause.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the the art piece to go up. There we go. Okay, there is your the Twitch drop for today. Watch for 30 minutes. If you're here for the whole stream, you're gonna get that beauty. They just keep making great mounts. Love our art team. Okay. So today, 7-100 went live. Later on in the afternoon, we're going to see the campaigns come up. We had the name of this one is Global Conquest, which is celebrating our unifying of all of the locations in the world on one giant server. So this is going to be an interesting experiment. which is the basis for our game, right? Is try lots of different things. We will see we'll see the large sieges. We've got the 250 person sieges in the zones. The server's bigger, and don't we have alliance scoring coming, Gordon?
Yep, alliance scoring should be in this week. So they can see it underneath the covers. It's already happening. The other thing to note here is that we don't have castles in the current 2 giant campaigns on purpose, because castles take up, would mean less things for people to fight over, since there's only one on a zone. So we went with all keeps on this particular campaign set. Doesn't mean we won't have the castle next time around. We just wanted to get more keep locations for people to fight over this time.
Yeah, we're trying a configuration in this one where I don't know that they've seen the maps yet for the dregs, where we've got the 2 adventure zones. There's 4 adventure zones surrounding the temples that then cascade out into the region-specific siege zones. So we're going to see how that configuration works. It's cool that we can kind of rearrange our worlds like we're doing to try different things. So it'll be interesting to see the feedback coming out of this one. It looks like we've got the hot zones, and we've got the raid parcels, yay, that are full of new stuff. I always like design putting in new content because it's cool, and everybody likes to go beat on those bosses. Now, one of the things you also notice about this dregs map, unlike the previous ones, is we eliminated the free city, and we put market parcels in near the temple zones so that you can put vendors down and sell stuff out there. We wanted to try one without a free city. We'll see how it works. Trying to get more zones of adventure or siege type in and less of the overhead zones. And unfortunately, we've got some of that overhead that we have to carry, but we kind of want to see what we can do with 3 this time instead of 4. And then the sacrifice of XP for basically, this is one of the things that's kind of been in since the beginning, and because we didn't have a good solution to it, which was when you sacrifice an item and you hit a level, we just basically cut off your XP. So we've enabled the ability to roll over into the next level so you don't lose that XP. And we'll see if it works. And then
it does work. It's not as polished as we'd like it to be, and as it doesn't give you the dings that I'd like it to give you for each one of those, everything that rolls over, but you're not losing anything is the number one thing, and that's the thing that people were most irritated by. So one of those nice quality of life changes, and we have several other that are smaller in this update too.
And then performance stuff. So every single update, engineers look at how many milliseconds it takes to do a specific thing, and they optimize at the millisecond level. And it's kind of funny when you read their Slack channels, and they're like, "This takes 3 milliseconds, which is far too long," and you're like, "Wow, that's 3 milliseconds doesn't seem like a very long time, but it adds up." So they basically try and smooth all that out so it's as fast as possible. And then over time, things just get better, and we just keep rolling that out with every single update. So hooray for more updates. I mean, it's always great.
Let's talk about what's coming. I think the number one thing is you've seen us put up several designs on the forums. We appreciate your feedback on those. Please give it rigorously. We particularly appreciate constructive feedback rather than destructive feedback, since what we're trying to do is actually improve the game. So if you can help us do that, we're up for it. The main thing, there's still some more of these designs coming that we did in the last milestone that aren't quite ready to go up, but they'll be coming up in the next week or so. And we have a little bit of new design work going on in the current milestone too. Go ahead, Blair.
Yeah, and so I'll talk to a second about, so the expectation is set for when you guys see a design doc, there's still a process that happens after it makes it through all of the initial, the design level, which is the GDD, which is the game design doc. And after that gets approved by everybody and we get buy-in, then we pass it off to engineering, and engineering goes through and they basically price it out. It's almost like we're building an order for food, and then we send it off to the kitchen. They come back and they go, okay, this is what it's going to cost you. And then there's some haggling that goes on at that point where something may be too big, maybe there's something that we forgot that we need to include in there. And then after that process, it goes out to tasking and implementation phase. And then tasking and implementation will happen in a milestone. And then it goes to testing where we put it all in front of you. So it's not just us putting up a document and then boom, the thing is live shortly after. There's a process that happens in there, and we have to go through the entirety of the process before you see the thing. So we basically, you can think of the game design phase as we're laying down a railroad track, and then the train's coming through, but without the track there, it doesn't know where to go. So the trains have to come through now, and then they're going to go ahead and start tasking and preparing to build those things.
The part that you kind of glossed over is, we do our design, we sign off on it internally, then we put it up for your feedback, and that creates yet another feedback loop that has to happen before that, before we're ready to really TDD. So it's not like, we put those up just for you guys to type in stuff and then we don't pay any attention. We're actually paying attention to all that feedback and iterating on the design. You might not see that iterated design go up, completely right away, but it is definitely, we like the feedback.
I'd like to throw that some of the designers do jump onto the thread or have me go and post an update as well. And I'll post in the forum post that it's been updated and what's been updated, and I'll also update the original design doc.
So I would like to say, so the key things that we're focusing on this milestone and the next one are the handshake sieges, the new player experience update, the UI refinements, particularly chat, and the new campaign rewards designs that you've already all seen if you've gone to the forums. We have all this stuff, work being in progress now. We do have some more designs coming. Most of them are a little smaller. A couple of them are bigger. Like the overall UI is on our friend Mr. Blair here to try to get done in 7200 so that we can put that up also.
Yes, that is one of my tasks that I have to work on in this next milestone. And a lot of the designs, I understand there isn't a lot to give feedback on. It's generally a good scratch and sniff test if we missed something when we put it up for you guys. Like, for example, the conversion of the EK / commands into a graphical UI, right? There isn't a lot of debate that needs to happen there. It's more of a, hey, did you guys forget this thing? As well as trying not to feature creep it to death by adding a bunch of new things. So that's always a danger, which is we don't have infinite time to make all of these things. So we have to kind of watch what we add to the order to the kitchen, so to speak, and be disciplined in not asking for everything, knowing that we don't have time to build everything because time isn't infinite for us.
So we're trying to focus on the stuff that matters the most to you first, based on the feedback that we're getting.
Right. And know that we can always loop back, right? We can loop back on features later, at least when the base is in, to just add a thing or two that got missed.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into the roadmap. We're going to be a little bit more verbose on the roadmap than we were last time because we covered almost every time, but we want to do more touch base on it this time around. Just for definition purposes, near term is always the next couple of milestones. That's stuff we're trying to get out right now in either 7200 or what will be 7300. Midterm is what's coming directly after that. And long term is stuff that we'd really like to do, but is really not on our near term or midterm roadmap, right? It's stuff that we want to get to, but we're definitely not going to get to it any time in the foreseeable future. And with that, we'll kind of jump into the roadmap.
Okay, so the near term, we have the items in yellow is stuff that we are delivering in 7100. And then the white stuff is the stuff that's going to either be in progress or in progress shortly. And let me see, is that being displayed for y'all? Yes. Okay, so in the stuff that we're delivering, the guild UI in game, yep, that should be in game. You should be able to search for a guild in game. The alliance caps should be activated in 7100. So that's been a long-standing.
Well, let's be clear. The guild UI in game is not create a guild in the game yet, but that's coming.
Well, yeah,
so that's kind of a two-phase. There's two phases to that one.
that's one of the things where we lay the groundwork and then we add more stuff into it. Let's see, more hot zones. Yep, we're getting more hot zones in 7100. Where is this? The Alliance scoring. Yes, we mentioned that. That will come out in a hot fix later this week. That's being buttoned up, as we had already mentioned. The boss raid parcels are in. And again, optimization performance, we can't say that one enough because we've done that one in every single update.
And so the next set of stuff that's in white here is all stuff that we're delivering either in 7200 or 7300 is the goal for all these items. So, and they're ones that you've seen most of the designs for at this point.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen the designs because they didn't go to the design forum on our forums, I would definitely check it out because all of the threads are up there. Some of them may be locked at this point when we've gotten to that point where the discussion changes over into so-and-so PK'd me or you suck or you're a Zerg. Once it hits that point, Tiggs closes it out because we've kind of hit the saturation point for the useful conversation and we've kind of devolved into something else.
So two of these designs aren't up yet, which is the map one and the improved EK search options. Both are nearing the end of our kind of internal review process and should be up shortly.
Cool. So handshake sieges, the chat system, all of that stuff you've seen, map improvements, the Monarch UI, resources scaling to the campaign duration. It's not as exciting, but it's a useful knob for us so we can create campaigns and not have to have a fixed value.
Well, I think that for people who've looked at the design, for me, the most exciting part is that you're earning a currency that you can then, you decide what rewards you want to spend that on. So I think that's really a big difference where it's not just hey, we came up with some rewards and that's what you're going to get. Right now you get a currency that you can decide which of those rewards you want to spend that currency on.
Oh, I forgot that ticket was totally bundled into that one.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean, design has been asking for alternate currency on vendors forever.
Yep.
And I just totally forgot that got bundled in there because that's one of those ones where you get told no so often that you're just kind of like, oh, I'm not going to get that out.
Well, I'm trying to say yes to you more often.
Yeah, I mean that's a good one. It gives us a great tool that we can use everywhere in game. Because I've always wanted to put the coins from the stat coins from the war tribes onto a specific special kind of vendor for those, because you hit a point where you don't want to sack them and they may not be useful to you, but if you could spend them on something, that'd be cool. We could do something like that once we have an alternate currency system that vendors take. So that'll be sweet. Let's see, we've got some improved EK search options, which is, hey, I'm looking for a thing. Where do I go to find that thing? Are there vendors up that have that thing that I'm looking for? That's kind of a piece where we really want to make it easier to find the things that you're looking for when you're shopping.
Yep.
And then, of course, the NPC streamlining. You're always looking to streamline the NPC and get people into the action as fast as possible. And there you go. Let's
move to midterm.
All right, midterm. Do you want to dive into these as deep? I mean, this is...
Well, we can talk about it a little bit, right? So hit them up.
All right, we got UI customization, PvP leaderboards, small-scale PvP options, caravan revamp. Yeah, Design has been talking about that one forever. Skin system, that one we really want to, because the way that we put the arcane appearance on the arcane weapons, that Kickstarter reward, is not something that I relish doing again. More biomes. The rule set one is actually, I think, one that may get bumped up with the way to basically, so Design can say this discipline is always active in this campaign, or these races are allowed, is the example we always give. That's the one that I'm really excited for us to get, because it opens up a lot of different content options to make the campaigns feel different.
Yeah, and see, I'm just as excited about the small scale PvP options, right? We need more small scale PvP options for our small and medium sized guilds, who are not, really super competitive at the keep game. So that's something that's a big focus in my mind.
Okay, so then down more in the midterm, we've got under the gods section, more divine favor card work, because that's kind of our system to get you to go out and explore the world and do a bunch of things to get a bunch of cool rewards. More EK. I mean, we've seen some pretty awesome EK stuff so far. It's funny that breeding's on there and farming.
Yeah.
Adventure parcels, improved building.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you're going to see a lot more. I mean, even though the EK stuff, the big EK stuff is here in the midterm, we're working on the EKs, consistently. You're going to see a lot of improvements in what just came out, and you're going to see even more in 7200. So there's kind of a backlog of kind of work better and feel better and more items to go into the EKs that are coming in the near term, even though we didn't list it up there. These are more the kind of, hey, we'd like to make these systems more interesting. We'd like to add lots of more interesting stuff to this Eternal Kingdom system over time. So in aggregate, it's in the midterm, but there's a lot of short-term things coming.
There's an engineer constantly adding and fixing stuff that happens in the EK.
So
yeah,
can you
I finally confirmed that my 3-hour EK, EK with VIP worked on my EK today. So I was very happy about that because the public thing wasn't always working. It was intermittent for a lot of people, and now it's solidly working with 7100.
So we have some new viewers. Can you touch upon a little bit with maybe the breeding or the farming, like just what that is, and maybe help them understand a little?
Well, those are ideas for what you could do in your own Eternal Kingdom, but go ahead, Blair.
I mean, yeah, if you look, so the Eternal Kingdom is obvious. It's your creative mode of building things, and you can set up your vendors, and those have functionality to them. And basically, all of these features have to do with making things that you can do in your Eternal Kingdom. Because a lot of the question has been for a long time is like, what do I do there if I have no interest? Well, if you have no interest, you're probably in a campaign world. But if you do have interest, we want to make it so there's content for our different style of players, because believe it or not, everybody's slightly different than everybody else, and everybody has slightly different interests. So if we can give some interesting things for everybody to do, well, then we've got lots of content for a wide swath of people. Things like farming, where you could grow stuff for food. Like, we really haven't done any real super deep dives into what a lot of these bullet points are, but this is where they'll start, and then we'll come up with an in-depth design when we get to it.
Remember, and all our systems are interconnected, right? So we typically don't build stuff that doesn't interconnect some way with the rest of the game. So, and that's what makes for our gameplay interesting is those interconnected systems. So it takes a little bit more design time to do them. I mean, we could do something that was just EK only, but then that wouldn't make it part of the overall Crowfall game, and that's important to us.
Okay, let's move on to the other midterm slide, which we've got items and vendors, buy orders. I definitely wanted that one for a while. Inventory bags for more space. Yes, please. Yep. And then we've got stealth in the tracking system, because we've always wanted some type of tracking. Art has always wanted to build more architecture other than just the Stoneborn. We want to see more Minotaur, Centaur, and Elven stuff. And then expanding the list of disciplines, because expanding the list of disciplines always means there's more interesting things to do in building your character and character customization. And then we're into the long term, right? This is stuff that's many, many milestones away, which is new campaign types. Again, these ideas, since they're much further out, are far less solid. But these are kind of ways to give us, hey, this is what we want to talk about, which is free building in the dregs, building decay, more siege weapon stuff. Gordon has always mourned the loss of our mobile catapults. I think that's probably, if you want any Gordon tears, that's probably the thing he misses out the most from our early alpha stuff, which is the mobile catapults, because they were really cool. Animal and creature taming. We talked about animal husbandry a long time ago. If you'd remember the original skill trees, we had actually an animal husbandry block in there. And then more race and class stuff. An additional class, dyeing, colorization of armor. I'm not sure what discipline items is. I need to go look at my notes to see what that one was.
Yeah, and I noticed that we didn't have Hunger Dome on here. Hunger Dome is probably in the midterm section. Again, I think that we'd like to bring back Hunger Dome more as probably a feature that we could give players to host rather than we hosting it. So, the best idea that we heard from players was, hey, why don't you let me host my own Hunger Dome in my EK, out of my EK? We think that's a fabulous idea. The problem is we have to actually do some work on Hunger Dome to get there. It's not ready to go as is. It was set up for us to run it on the back end. So there's some work there, and right now we're putting all our emphasis on the core game rather than on nice to have. To me, that's a real nice to have thing, and we really want to get to it in the midterm. But it's not core game, core Crowfall that we need to get shored up first.
Yeah, the amount of extra effort that Tiggs and Gordon had to put into running the Hunger Dome, which is basically flipping the switches on the back end in between every single game, was pretty. It was incredible. So I'm glad that all worked, but we need to harden that and make that a real thing where you don't actually need people on the other end flipping switches when you want games to drop and things like that. So
a lot of players doing that. It was fun. Fun for me.
Yeah, you guys say that now, but you don't remember how sleepless you were during those times.
No, I remember.
Okay, so why don't we transition into the Q&A portion and ask some questions?
Sure. So question number 1, can we get a Dregs campaign with a guild member cap of something around 50 members per guild?
So the question of guild size and alliance size and how do we pull this one off without alienating a lot of people and making it fair and making it so you don't have to get approval to join a campaign is kind of challenging. There's a lot of weird edge cases where we want to have a smaller guild size in the campaign, but we don't want to have to you have to play Mother May I to get into that campaign, because that would kind of suck if you couldn't actually join the campaign because, hey, your guild already has 50 people in it. So there are a bunch of edge cases we need to work out. We need to have some deep dives into how we can make this fair for everybody, also such that your experience isn't such that you have to ask somebody so you can join a campaign.
But we can say it's definitely a goal for us to hit, right? It's something that we actually want to hit pretty soon, is to be able to, have some kind of option where the guild size in game is different from the guild size outside of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, because then that definitely gets rid of this whole category of alliances aren't useful for everybody. And because if all of the guilds are smaller than the alliance size, then you have no choice. It's just the guild size has to be small for everybody for that to be a thing. So trying to get that with the audience that we have is going to be a challenge. So we need to,
and also over a multi-week period, right, is part of the challenge here, because people may want to be in the campaign, but they're only in for a week of the 4 weeks. So there's many challenges that we have to kind of figure out, and you'll see a design show up on that sometime soon.
Yeah. So
we'll
also
take a stab at it.
I think a thing to consider is your particular situation is going to be different from another guild situation, right? There are guilds who just take everybody. There are large size guilds. There are guilds that fill their rosters with lots of people because their players can only show up once or twice a week. So in order to have a fighting team on every particular night, they take more people than they have because they know everybody can't play all the time. So try to look and see the whole field and go, oh yeah, you know what? There's people in situations other than my very specific one, even though that's the most important to you because it happens to be happening to you and your friends. But there are other situations that we have to kind of look at when we're trying to build something like this.
That's enough on this one, I think.
Yeah.
Here's one that they're going to love for me to ask. May we please have the ability to swap discs in our EKs? This could be in the starter buildings, guild hall, keep, anywhere.
Yes, that is definitely something I put a ticket in for a couple weeks back. I want to say I'll have to go check and see where it is in the pipeline. But design wanted a way so that we could adjectives are the lifeblood of us doing interesting content in different places. We want to be able to put an adjective on a building, and then you just go in that building, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you can swap out your disciplines. So it's definitely something that we want to do, and hopefully it's not that difficult and we can get that. Now, here's a good example. Something like that is generally not something we need a GDD for. That's typically like a one-off ask because it's very small and very contained, and we know exactly what we need to do.
I mean, like one of the things that we just put in, one of the feel-good things we just put in was faster logout in safe spaces. But right now, the EK doesn't have a safe space. So you still have a slower logout from your EK. That's another one of the things that will get fixed by this. If there's a place that you can do the disciplines, there'll be a place that you can log out fast too.
Here's a question that I see come up on the forums and in Discord a lot. Do you think that removing the AoE target cap would improve the quality of the game?
This answer depends very much on who you are. Are you a big guild? Are you a small group of friends? Are you a medium-sized guild? Everybody's going to give you a different set of answers. In fact, this is one of those topics that kind of is almost religion in for many players, which is they feel very strongly one way or another. And we have, over the past, we have very much stayed away from increasing limits on AoE caps. We let it up with a couple as we went by, and we're just waiting to see how that plays out. Now, once we get our campaign configurator stuff more in a stable spot, I have a feeling that that's a knob that we're going to get out of that system. So we'll be able to try a campaign or two to see what it's like. So there you go.
Next question. Guild leaders would love access-based storage solutions for our teams, where the leader can set deposit withdrawal rights per person or rank. Is this on the timeline? How long, if planned, until we see storage improvements?
So this is something we definitely like to do. I've seen it in other games, and I've really liked the ability for leaders to say, hey, you're a deposit only, you're withdrawal only, and then you have a log and you can see who's doing what. And in most cases, it's pretty innocuous. In some cases, it's like, oh, hey, that guy took everything and we know who it is and we can take action against them. It is definitely something we want to do, but it's not on the near-term roadmap. I mean, it's great. It's just there's so many great things that we want to do that this one hasn't bubbled to the absolute must do it right now.
Next question is a long one.
Okay.
That one, since you've already discussed one, there was an alliance scoring. We all know that's coming very soon. Players have been expressing a desire for a planet-side-like lattice system for outpost sports keeps, at least for the FBF worlds, and that's faction for faction versus faction for those that don't know. Is this something you've considered implementing in the case they aren't familiar with the lattice system? It just means outpost sports keeps and POIs are connected to other POIs nearby, such that as faction cannot capture a POI unless they own at least one connected POI.
So even though Blair's going to answer this, I like anything that drives Crowfall more to a territory capture game, right? Where literally holding, just not holding a single thing, but holding a lattice of things is more in the direction I'd like to see the game go. But it's a process, right? So go ahead, Blair.
Yeah, that feels a lot like sprinting to me. Like once your systems are mature enough where everyone can jog around, you can add something like that. For us right now, we're still kind of walking, I would say is the best way to put this. It definitely sounds cool. I loved it in PlanetSide. I played a lot of PlanetSide back when I worked at SOE, and I'm very familiar with this. And it's just there are so many other things that we're building right now that this just isn't on the horizon.
At least not short or midterm.
Yeah, I mean, just to be honest, there are so many things we want to add, and so many things that you guys have asked for. We can't build everything. We have to pick and choose and hit the things that we think will be the most impactful for the game for everyone.
Alrighty. Next question. Lunarium, Solarium, Arboreum, and Skypoint are key engagement areas for new players in this game. Are there plans to review these zones that aren't campaign worlds? What are your expectations for updates there? In particular, do you think the global world style that you are implementing to Shadow and Dregs could work for God's Reach?
So God's Reach is our training grounds, right? And the thing is Crowfall is always better with a guild, with friends, and we kind of want people to push out into the Shadow, and if they're in a guild, in the Dregs, as soon as possible. So I don't think we're going to spend, beyond updates to the NPE, too much time fine-tuning zones that players really should only exist in for a brief period of time. We really want you in the Shadow where you're instantly put into a faction that gives you a buffer of people to talk to and be on the same team with. There's less of that going on in the Arium zones and Skypoint than you would see in the Shadow. So there you go.
Alrighty. Next one, we've been hearing about campaign knobs, wild and crazy variants, or literally anything different for many years. When do you guys think we'll see any of this tech used in practical sense to have multiple variants of the same rule set running to provide players that long-promised variety?
This is one of my top 3 features that we need to add and get to. And I keep talking about it because I think once we have the very top level stuff, we're going to be able to start doing some pretty wacky and wild things. And I look forward to doing that. So I'm hoping as soon as possible, we will see this in action and design can start playing with various knobs. Beyond the knobs that we currently have, which is like group size is the only reliable one, and inventory / gold death rules. Those are the ones that we've only really explored so far. And what's funny is everyone kind of has settled on the group size one always being the same, even though that was one of our first knobs. We can go as high as 10, and the base size is 5. So we've been operating at 5+1 now for 3 milestones. And I'd like to start turning knobs.
Here's an easy one. Now that we have an alliance player cap, how hard would it be to increase the number of guilds allowed in an alliance from, say, 5 to 10 to allow more small guilds to band together?
Super easy, barely an inconvenience. So this one is more of a UI task than anything. We just need to get the UI section. We got that little combat HUD section that pops up. They need to look at that. We could just say set it higher and code, and then the UI group would be like, hey, what are you guys doing? You got to talk to us first. So
Blair, the right answer is I wrote the ticket and put it in already.
Well, there is that. However, I just want to explain and give some context. Also to create some more conflict between engineering and UI.
I'm looking for that ticket today. Okay, are there any plans to help the small guilds against the Zergs? That's the elephant in the room.
The evil Zerg, which is this is all bundled up like anything in an MMO. Everything touches anything, which is the smaller alliance, smaller guild size. Like once we've kind of settled on all of that and how that's going to work, then there should be less of this. And then you have more second tier size problems like collusion than you do with the hard rules that we have now. We haven't even made it to having those second tier problems. So that is the next order of thing you will see after we fix the guild size and things like that for specific campaigns.
All right, we got time for 2 more questions.
Okay.
The next one is some Kickstarter rewards give crafting bonuses in an EK. Any plans to give other players also the ability to obtain these items? We've discussed this a lot, Gordon.
Well, I mean, Gordon can give the answer to this one.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
You're on a roll.
Basically, we want to offer those Kickstarter items again, but we don't want to offer this exact same as the Kickstarter so as not to devalue that. which means maybe a textures change on the thing, something else that we can put up that is equivalent to the Kickstarter item on the store or whatever would be ideal for those things that you can no longer obtain. I think some of them came out really great. I really like the relic items that we put out.
I think you have some scheduled for this milestone, don't you?
Maybe.
I think so. I remember seeing a ticket about it. So
yeah, you know what? I haven't seen a ticket. You know what? I don't think I've seen a ticket in design on any of them.
Yep. Certainly something we want to get to.
All right, our last question. Are you planning to implement a market billboard where I can search for certain items among all the vendors in the Eternal Kingdoms I'm visiting, without the need of walking to a specific stall to purchase the item? I mean, a marketing system, auction house like in Albion.
So the auction house is something that we've definitely shied away from because we want to have that vendor shop experience. I know a lot of people aren't familiar with it, but it has allowed the players to make some really cool EKs that are set up as trade kingdoms. And that was one of our original promises, which is really cool. And the sad thing is if you put in something like an auction house, not only does it tank your economy because it's a race to the bottom with price, but it also, you lose out on the experience of visiting some of these EKs. I mean, the first time the art team ran through Aranth Traders, they were amazed at some of the stuff you were doing out there, and they came up with some great ideas for parcels and things, the way we do buildings and things that they could make to improve the experience for you. So that is awesome, right? It's great when you get the art team out there in game looking at the stuff that you guys have built, because everybody builds things different than everybody else, because everyone has a cool little twist to it in some way. And so that's what made me really excited about the vendors. Now, we'd mentioned earlier a feature where we could at least narrow down what EK you need to go to find a thing, and it will be there within that EK, but not specific price, which basically would make it an auction house, and again, the race to the bottom, and you lose all the uniqueness of a vendor.
I mean, it's up to the person who has an EK to kind of organize it in a way to make it easier for you to shop it. Right? That's the ideal, is that, oh, I'm looking for armor. Okay. Is it clear where to go, or do you have to visit all 50 vendors to find armor? Right? So that's merchandising. That's what we hope our shopkeepers are actually going to be doing, is more merchandising, making it easy to find stuff within their EK.
Yeah, and if there's additional tools, that's something that we're always up for suggestions on. Where if it's like, hey, could you give us the option to change the icon above a vendor's head or something like that, that would help you. That's the kind of feedback that we like, because it gives us actionable items towards the style we have chosen for our vendors, right? It's not, hey, rip that out and replace it with something new. It's like, hey, I notice I can't get customers because they don't know the difference between leather and plate armor, and maybe you guys could do this, and be like, yeah, that's a great idea. We could do that. Go ahead.
Yes, better signposting is what we need to provide for the people who have EKs.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay. What's next on our agenda?
Next on the agenda is the September reward for all of our VIPs. We are giving away the Spirited Steed of Sibel. Sibel, the maiden goddess, radiates an air of innocence, a creature of the moment. She's known to embark on flights of fancy mounted atop her mystical steed. Many have claimed to have seen her, wind in her hair, riding away in pursuit of her next adventure. Mount this spirited steed of Sibel and experience her spirit of adventure as you travel to the dying worlds. I like how it sounds like you're going on vacation in the dying worlds. It's like a cruise ship. Well, there you go. So anyone who is a VIP, I believe it is. So is it during the month of September?
Yep. So it's tomorrow is when it kicks off.
You will be granted this, and we are going to show our.
Anybody who has VIP will get it. Anybody who joins VIP during October will get it, or during September will get it.
And then October, obviously, the holidays are approaching, and we're starting to flex what we're going to do for the holidays. We've got the head of the trickster is a very ancient helmet used by the gods in the season of fall. When the night becomes its darkest black, on this night they would don the head of the trickster and use mystical incantations to intimidate their enemies in battle. No one knows if these helmets were powerful or what became of the incantations. So there you go.
Nice.
We're expecting terrible things to happen when we add this, of course.
Yes. So there you go. That's going to be in October, and we have some other goodies in October, especially for those of you who have an EK. Okay.
Yeah.
So anything else, Gordon?
Yep. Well, I'm looking forward to everybody playing 7100, giving us lots of feedback on 7100, giving us lots of feedback on the designs that we've yet to put up, so that we can get working on those too. And we really appreciate your patronage. You know, just you keep us honest with all your feedback for sure. And what I want you to really know is that the team works really hard to make this stuff happen. I'm sure there's lots of different attitudes about how we operate, but if you were here, you would know that the team is constantly focused on how we're going to deliver more stuff at better quality and quickly. Like, how quick can we get stuff out is a lot of our discussion, as long as we can hit a quality bar with it. And there's always challenges, like the challenge we had yesterday, and on any given night, right? Recently in some of the sieges, we've seen some new behavior that we think we have a coping mechanism in for, and we'll find out not tonight, but tomorrow night when sieges go off, how well those coping mechanisms have come. But the main thing that I want you to know is that the team is really committed to making Crowfall better every day. So that's what we're up to.
Yeah,
and we really appreciate the feedback, even when you're rough on us. We appreciate it being constructive, but even when you're rough on us, we're listening. We actually are taking that into account as we make our decisions about what we're going to do next and next and next.
Yeah, and I also can't say enough about the team who spends a lot of their weekend hours working on some of this stuff. The giant servers was an effort of a couple weekends by a couple people, and then carrying it further down the road was a couple other people working weekends. So everyone definitely puts in a lot of effort. We try and get in as much stuff as reasonable in the amount of time we're given. And as you've seen, our cadence right now is about a month-ish for our first couple updates, which I think is pretty good. And the amount of stuff we're delivering in that time period is a lot for that period of time, because it's a challenge, because we have to build it, we have to test it, we have to get it through, and then we have to get it out to you and ensure everything works, and then continue on with the next cycle of things.
On that note, we are doing we've been on a 4-week cadence, and on this particular next milestone, we're doing a 5-week is our goal, is to do it in 5 weeks, not 4. We'll go back on a 4-week cadence after that. So that's kind of what we're trying to do always, is, how can we get stuff to you? If we could do it quicker and have some substance, we would, but our cadence is going to end up being on a 4-ish week cadence basis moving forward, because then we can do something substantial, actually QA it and make sure it's quality, and then deliver it.
Yes. Okay. So huge thanks to all our creators, affiliates, and influencers who are continually bringing great views to our game on Twitch and YouTube. We appreciate your great work and support of Crowfall. And then you can find all the stuff on the Twitters and the YouTubes and the Facebook buttons and the buttons. And we're going to raid Rufio, I believe, is who we're going to. So enjoy 7.1.
Hopefully most of you got your Twitch drop by now too. I know. Yeah, I got mine.
I got mine as well.
And don't forget your feedback thread. Get your feedback on for 7.100. It's very important.
Yep. We'll be hot fixing it for the next week or so while we're building 7200.
Yeah, and we're really looking forward to seeing the results of this campaign. So the 7100 campaigns, which is the first with the really big worlds, the multiple time zones, go get them.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thanks. See you next month.
See you next month.